Paul Harris has been synonymous with FirstRand, but there is another side to the, can I call him a former banker? I suspect he is. This is the MoneyMakers. I'm Bruce Whitfield. Tonight I talked to Paul Harris about Multisource. It's backed by him and serial entrepreneur Michael Jordaan. Their plans to build a next generation mobile telecommunications network with national scope. We'll also find out about the collapse of Mixit and other ventures that he's been involved with as well. 50,000 Rand or close to $3,500 a night villa that he's added to his Cape Town boutique hotel, which is also hosted, amongst others, the Kardashians. Did they leave the place intact when they left?
Yeah, they left it intact, but they couldn't wait to get out of there. There wasn't enough bling and sort of action in Cape Town.
It was a bit too tasteful and a bit too elegant.
Too much. Yeah.
But you're looking very relaxed. I mean, I haven't seen you for a long time since your days at FirstRand. Clearly, being out of banking suits you more than being in it.
Yes, I've enjoyed it. It's, I've sort of drifted quite a long way away. And yeah, it was a good stage of my life, and I'm glad to be out of it, actually.
No, I mean, again, you're keeping your hand in, and that's what's so interesting. Mixit, it's dead.
Yes.
I mean, it's a tragedy, because at one point, Mixit was going to be this great pan-African communication mechanism for people with feature phones, and kind of the smartphone's taken over the world.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened. I think we missed the smartphone revolution, really. And I think there was a few own goals there.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I must say that it's the fat lady hasn't sung yet. I think that if you measure an investment like that in terms of money, okay, let's say hasn't been a success.
It's important.
But okay, the people that have taken the knock of not. It's not other people's money, it's our money.
Private money, yeah.
But what really excites me is that the next stage of Mixit, which is the education side. And I don't think people realize quite how large a base that we've got there. You know, we've got hundreds of thousands of kids that go online and they do educational programs on their smartphones and or on their feature and smartphones. So that as a platform for education is really something quite remarkable.
Is it a tested platform for education, however? Delivering education to a device this big is quite an intimidating prospect.
Okay, something that would surprise you. Do you know that there are hundreds of thousands of pages of books read every day on Mixit?
Really?
Books. I mean, you know, Romeo and Juliet and
not 50 Shades of Grey, but proper books.
Maybe, but proper books. You know, I think the modern generation, people can read a book on a smartphone.
You and I might have to zoom in a bit.
I wouldn't even think of doing it, but it happens, and people's eyesight seems to still be quite good, and it really lends itself to testing, for example, multiple choice questions and that type of thing. And also the fact that it's anonymous, you know, for social type of programs like AIDS awareness and rape clinics and that type of thing, where you've got an anonymous person at the other side. You know, people are quite happy to call for advice and so on.
So there's life in Mixit yet?
Absolutely, on the social side and the educational side. And at the end of the day, I think I'd like to measure it and how well this does. And I'm very confident.
So it might not make money, but it'll do some good.
It'll do some good.
Will you make money out of your new leg into telecommunications? It comes with Telkom finally saying, yes, we are keen on Cell C and putting an official oar in the water there. Vodacom tying up with Neotel, of course. MTN's got some distractions. But the world of telecommunications ever more competitive.
It is incredibly competitive, but there are also a lot of trends that I think are in our favor in this particular investment, and it may not work as well. I mean, you don't go into something like Mixit thinking it's not going to work out, and it ends up it doesn't work out. I mean, that's how the game goes. But there are a lot of trends in our favor. I think the biggest one is this an absolute explosive growth in data, and that's driven by the whole app ecosystem, is driven by streaming of movies and content and so on. So it's exponential, the growth, and it's the current data options don't necessarily cater for that growth.
How are you and Michael Jordaan going to carve a niche in this quite congested space?
Well, see it as fiber in the sky.
Fibre in the sky, got
Okay,
you.
fibre in the sky.
It
So
sounds
instead
like
we-
you see in the sky with diamonds, but
Yeah.
fibre in the sky.
So we
we
don't
can do.
dig up your garden and that type of thing. So it's fibre in the sky. It's an opportunity to deliver data, and it's a data network. It's not a telephone network. It's a data network. It's an opportunity to deliver it in a fast and efficient way. And what we've got is totally or almost unused spectrum. So it's not congested by having to run other networks like 2G and 3G on there. It'll be a unique, in the sense it'll be only an LTE
But how
network.
expensive is this to roll out? Because one looks at the capital expenditure of the cell phone companies of 6 and 7 billion rand a year, and they're struggling to keep up.
Look, we're definitely not going to go head to head with any of the big guys. I mean, absolutely not. We believe that we can be incremental. We can look at niches that are perhaps underserviced, and we can be incremental. You know, if something
So who's your
works,
market? Who's going to be your market?
well, we have identified, and we are identifying various areas. It's a fixed line replacement, as it were. And certain areas that are underutilized. For example, where they're big rental properties, where they're flats and that type of thing. You know, if you're in a rental property, you're less likely to want to or really afford. It's not necessarily a good idea to put in ADSL, for example. So
But in a
work for
world where Alan Craig previously was at Mixit, is now going to the city of Tshwane and is providing masses of free Wi-Fi, do you not get it then overtaken? Does the commercial operation not get overtaken?
Maybe. You know, that may happen. Just bear in mind that there's no such thing as free. I mean, somebody has to pay for something.
It has to be paid for.
Somebody has to pay for it. And I think what the consumer wants now is something that works well, that's reliable, and that's fast. I mean, for me, I measure my broadband by how fast it is.
No, completely. I mean, broadband is becoming like water and hopefully not like water and electricity, because they're quite scarce nowadays. But it's becoming a household essential, like water and electricity is to the home. It's the great enabler of our future.
Yeah, I totally believe in that, and it's going to become increasingly so. And you know, the data growth has been spectacular in South Africa.
Data growth is spectacular, but we're using it to watch movies and download stuff. Are we uploading anything? Yes, there's Silicon Cape and the Stellenbosch crowd are being terribly creative, but are we really making maximum use of these great new technologies?
I don't think we are, and one of the reasons we're not is that we haven't really got good broadband. And I think if you facilitate it through good broadband, I think you'll find a lot more people using it, and it'll open up avenues of opportunity for Silicon Cape and the like.
People watching this again, Paul Harris, he was in banking, he understood his customers, he knew what he could charge them, and he made a lot of money out of banking. Now he's pouring it down the drain with telecommunications ventures. Is this the riskiest thing you've done since buying a wine farm? Because that surely is more risky. That's surely more risky than any of this.
That's not risky. That's stupid. No. Look, I'm intrigued by it. I really think it's a really interesting space, and it's something that I want to have a go at. I'll really like working with very talented people. It keeps one interested and so on, and we think we've got a good opportunity here. Doesn't mean to say it's going to be successful.
But I mean that's what's so exciting about it. But that's also what's exciting about the use of capital in new ventures to test the feasibility of these things. And it's not going to break the bank, so it's you might lose a lot of money on it. But I suspect you'll be okay on that particular front. Take me through tourism quickly. Were you affected by at Ellerman House with the visa regulations? Did you see suddenly there weren't many Chinese people coming through? I mean, people with kids don't necessarily come to Ellerman House that much.
We're small in the bigger scheme of things, but I'm quite plugged into the industry, and it definitely made a huge impact. You know, the thing is, somebody sits down, somebody's sitting in Europe or America, and they want to go somewhere. There's so many choices in the world. And, you know, if there's more of a hassle to go to South Africa, they want to go somewhere else. Yeah. It's the easiest thing in the world.
And money follows the easiest path.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. When we look at policy, we look at policy making and policy decisions. Telecommunications has been fraught with complexity, as you will well know. Financial services, I think, has been pretty much okay. Tourism, absolutely pivotal for the growth of the future of our country. Yet, we find a lot of own goals right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember chatting to you. I mean, you went to Australia 20 years ago, I think it was, and you were back within months. Okay, that was a bad idea. So you know how to cut your losses. And then there was, at the time of the electricity crisis, you wrote a letter saying, guys, let's be calm about this. Let's be cool. Are you in a position where you could write another letter like that at a time where, from a policy perspective, we feel quite constrained?
Yeah, you know what really worries me is that it's this trust issue. You know, that I don't think people recognize that everybody wants South Africa to work. You know, if you didn't want South Africa to work, you'd go somewhere else. Yeah. So we're desperate to make it work. And there's this perception that the business is the problem. You know, business is not the problem. People in business want to make this country work. And what worries me is that the type of decisions that are being made is not a result of fate. It's not just because we're too far south, or we're too hot, or we're too cold, or we haven't got resources. It's not fate. We're choosing these stupid things. I mean, we're taking money away from poor people and varsity students, and we're giving it to an airline so that they can fly rich people around the world. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. We're choosing to do that.
Yes, we are.
So now, it really frustrates me and exasperates me, because we're positive, we want things to work, but it's not fate, we're choosing.
National Treasury feels like an increasingly isolated island of sanity in a world where Department of Defense wants to buy new aeroplanes to ferry politicians around, where SAA is either buying more jets or it isn't, and it's waiting for kickbacks, where Eskom is having more money thrown into a bottomless pit there. Can the Treasury hold it together? I mean, that's, I suppose, the last bastion of defence.
Well, I hope so. And I hope that ultimately sense prevails. We all know that politics is quite difficult.
You survived PW Botha. I mean, you've survived. You've survived
that's
crazy.
Right. We've been there. We've seen it, and we're incredibly resilient as a country. And you have to balance a lot of things. You know, on the one side, I just heard you talking about Lonmin.
Yeah.
You know, now look at that. Lonmin is right at the brink now. But if it was a nationalized industry, what would happen?
And there's a risk that it could go that way to preserve 36,000 jobs.
Absolutely. But now, so that's a very good debate. You know, do you want it to be nationalized or don't you? You know, and there are pros and cons. You could save on the short term. You could save 36,000 jobs. But you tie up resources in an industry that, as things look now, is not going to provide 37,000 jobs very quickly.
There we go, Paul Harris. We must leave it there. Thank you so much for coming in. Very generous with your time. Venture capitalist, entrepreneur, the FirstRand co-founder, Paul Harris, moving from banking into all kinds of interesting places. Some will work, some might not, but he's always got the wine farm to hide in. Thank you for watching. There'll be more Money Makers tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.